Hello everyone, welcome back to the Besiege Bots tutorial series, episode 9. Today we will be building a lightweight flipper robot. Let's get started. Turn all of these on. Personally, I like to start with the flipper arm itself, and for that we will be using a double strong lock connection. Stretch it out like that. Now I will reinforce this by putting a wood block between the two and moving it up a little so that these two can connect to each other and the wood block connects the two together for a little more strength. Okay, we will need free spinning blocks for this flipper arm to move up and down. So for these we will be using spin blocks. They are very strong and they can be set to free spin like that. You always have to disable limit speed to motor if you want them to free spin. I'm just copying over the settings from one block to another. We will stretch them out just a little bit from the arm. There we go. Now these flippers, most of the time they use pneumatics. Pneumatics can be made from suspension blocks. Let me get a quick little flipper setup going here. Here we will also use free spinning spin blocks, as you can see. And now we will put the pneumatics here. Well, suspensions, but they will be used as pneumatics in this case. Let's move them as far in as we can. We could move them in a little more, but this is going to be good enough for us for now. And then add 2 more free spinning spin blocks like that. Move them out as well. And now what I like to do here is just angle them down by about 25 degrees like that. This should do a good enough job for us. Alright, now let us pin these 4 spin blocks here. Oh, we moved them out just a little too far. There we go. Now our flipper arm sags, it goes downwards. So to prevent that, just for the time being, let's put a wing panel under the flipper arm like this. We will use this to set up our pneumatics. I will explain every setting in the pneumatics. So this button here, you can cycle between none, which is just a default suspension block, hydraulic, which is used for crushers, and pneumatic, which is used for spinners and some robust self-righting mechanisms. There is a lot to go through here, so let's get on with it. These two are pneumatic sounds. These, you can use them, but they are very annoying and I do not recommend you do so. Spring. This is the strength of the pneumatic. You are allowed to set pneumatics to 200 strength. Damper. This puts a limit on how fast the pneumatics can fire. I recommend you use the minimum value as far as the slider goes, like that. Feed speed is we are able to set feed speed to 10 like that. Extend and retract limit, these are both as far as the slider goes, so you can use anywhere from 0 to 4 on both of these. We will just leave them on 1 for now. And dampening is it is a modded feature. It basically reduces the power of the pneumatics to make them more reliable. You can use either 10 or 1.20 or anywhere in between as far as the slider goes. I recommend you leave this on minimum. Extend and retract limit. These two are going to be our main ways of firing the flipper. Let me copy over everything to the other pneumatic. So now N starts firing, M retracts, but it retracts a little too long. It's trying to it is trying to pull the spin blocks into themselves. So against that, you just set both of these to 0. Oh, I set the wrong one. There we go. So now if you hit N, the flipper arm will go up. If you hit M, it will back down like that. Now let's turn up the extension on these blocks. Oh, it appears I have done the wrong one here. All right, it should work now. There we go. We got a much more powerful flip and the same amount of retraction. This is a good setup to work with for lightweights. Now there is a rule that says for pneumatics you have to use springs on the block that it is connecting to. This is for visual purposes because this does not look correct. So the springs compensate for this. Like that. However, there is another part for this rule. It is however much you set your firing to. So in our case, it's 4 on the retract limit. You have to have that many springs minus 1. So if it's 4, you have to have 3. If this is 2, you have to have 1 spring. If it's 3, you have to have 2 springs, obviously. If it's 1, you still have to have at least a singular spring. So let's just move these in a little bit so they look better and make it so that we have all 3 of them in place. And now when we fired our flipper, they will be visually connected. Alright, our flipper is now set up. I will also rebind the firing controls to a friendlier control scheme to use. E will fire and Q will retract. Alright, now we can remove this wing panel from here. We do not need it anymore. Now I will angle this whole flipper arm down a little bit. And move it up so everything connects right. There we go. That should be alright now. This is something you have to be cautious of. Sometimes when your pneumatics retract, they could flip like that and then your arm will fire backwards. So against this, what you can do is angle your pneumatics just a little more, like that. And as you can see, they are not flipping upside down, right side out anymore. You can keep firing the flipper and it is going to work just fine. Let's build a chassis for this robot now. It shouldn't be too complicated. If you have not seen the previous episodes of the robot building sections of the tutorial, I highly recommend you check them out, as it goes from just a basic static wedge all the way to horizontal and vertical spinners, and you can learn a lot about chassis designs from these videos. Let's get started with this chassis. I will go with wood blocks off of these spin blocks right here. I will connect them to a double strong lock connection right here. That is connecting just fine. Now I will use a steering block here to connect off of this spin block, and connect to the side here as well. Now for the back here, I will be using a wing panel. Connecting off of this steering block to that wing panel. Make sure that the secondary connection of this wood block remains, because if the primary connection of the wing panel and the secondary connection of the wood block overlap, the secondary connection will be deleted. Connect them to the side as well. There is a little bit of clipping here, so I will move this log out just a little bit and angle it back. And that double strong log connection should still be fine. And we reduced clipping by a lot. Now I will mirror everything we have built here to the other side of the robot. Across, you could use the starting block or the flipper arm, because in this case both of them are at the center of our robot. I will now connect the hinge of the flipper mechanism to the chassis of the robot using wood blocks like that. Everything looks to be connecting just fine. Let us connect the back chassis of the robot here as well with 2 wood blocks. We can now delete all of our pins. We do not need them anymore. And we have a functional flipping arm. Now we should add our wheels to the robot, because without wheels we cannot drive. Do not forget to stretch out your wheels as much as you can towards the back to make your wheelbase longer. Mirror your wheels to the other side. And now your robot is capable of driving. I will bind drive in just a moment. Before we do that, however, there is still something missing. We need wedging elements on the front of the robot. Apologies for my dog in the background. For the wedging elements, we will be using blades, as we have gotten used to from previous episodes of the tutorial. Move them out, like so. And do not forget to angle them down at a 7.5 degree angle. That should be just fine. Now we will add the blades to the flipping arm itself. Like that. And as you can see, we have a flipper that can fire and flip other robots now. I will bind the driving keys for this robot. Oh, I have made a mistake. I bound the left and right directions wrong. Let me correct that mistake. And now our robot is driving perfectly fine. As you can see. Whoa, something is wrong here. Oh, yeah, okay, this is a very important thing with steering blocks. Always keep in mind to either set your rotation speed to 0 or deactivate your controls. That is what was causing my bot to bend. This will not happen to you if you do not forget to remove the keybinds from your steering blocks. As you can see, our robot drives perfectly fine now. And it can flip. Let's duplicate it and see how it flips itself. Just disable all of the controls so you will not have two robots driving around at the same time. There we go. Oh yeah, this will happen if you do not paint your blocks. So it is important to always paint your robot. I will use steel gray for this. I'll paint the other one as well. As you can see, it can flip decently high. For a lightweight, this is a pretty solid first flipper. It explains all the basics of how to set up your pneumatics for flippers. And it gives you a solid idea of how a flipper mechanism works in this game. There's one more thing I would like to do, which is make an anti-horizontal setup for this robot. But before that, let's see our block count. It would appear that we are quite underweight. Let me double up the reinforcement on the flipper arm. That wood block is not dragging on the ground, so it is fine. This will just make our flipper arm a lot stronger and a little bit stiffer, so we will get more force transferred into our opponent. And with our two remaining blocks, let us add some downforce to the front of the robot. You know how to set these up if you have seen the first episode of the tutorial videos. Of the robot building tutorial videos, I mean. There we go. Our downforce is now complete. We got a little more powerful. This is a great starting flipper, but there is one more thing that I would like to do, which is build a quick anti-horizontal setup. For that, we will be using plows as usual. Move them up. They are connecting just fine. We can move them up a little more. Now angle them forward by about 12 degrees. They are not on the ground, they will not be great for wedging, but they will do a good job at deflecting horizontal spinners. Mirror them over to the other side of your robots. And that is our anti-horizontal setup done. As you can see, our flipper arm still remains in the line of fire, but this enables us to still flip even if we are fighting a horizontal spinner. I think that is a good place to leave this episode. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next episode. Goodbye.